Wealth rising, family. We had a pretty interesting weekend in crypto. Bitcoin had a strong weekend. Money started flowing back into spot Bitcoin ETFs. Altcoins actually outperformed Bitcoin, and Strategies, Michael Saylor's company, it sold 3,588 Bitcoin for about 216 mil. Now, those aren't just random headlines. I actually think they're all connected. So let's break this thing down. Bitcoin had a good weekend, and that's important because Bitcoin usually sets the tone for the entire crypto market. When Bitcoin starts moving with confidence, the rest of the market start paying attention. Now, does one good weekend mean the bull market is back? No, not at all. One weekend doesn't tell us that. But one weekend can give us clues, and I think that's where a lot of people make mistakes. They spend all their time watching price. I spend my time trying to figure out why the price moved in the first place. Because if you understand why the money is moving, you'll usually have a better understanding of where the market could be headed next. That's what I'm paying attention to, not just the price, the money. The biggest Bitcoin story this weekend wasn't actually Bitcoin's price, it was the money flowing back into the spot Bitcoin ETFs. Now, if you've never heard of a Bitcoin ETF before, let me make this simple. Let's say your mom wants to invest in Bitcoin. She doesn't want to download a crypto wallet. She doesn't want to learn about private keys. She doesn't want to worry about accidentally sending her Bitcoin to the wrong address. She just wants to log into the same account she uses to buy stocks and press one button. That's exactly what a spot Bitcoin ETF allows her to do. Now, here's why that matters. Think of a Bitcoin ETF like a giant shopping cart. When thousands of people put money into that shopping cart, the company running the ETF usually has to go buy actual Bitcoin to match the demand. So when you hear that money is flowing into Bitcoin ETFs, what that really means is more investors are putting fresh money into products backed by Bitcoin. Now, does that guarantee Bitcoin goes higher? Nope, not at all. Nothing in investing is guaranteed, but it does tell me confidence may be starting to improve, and confidence matters because markets don't just move on numbers, they move on how people feel about risk. Altcoins just did something they don't normally do. They outperformed Bitcoin. Now, if you're new to crypto, you might be thinking, is that a good thing? Well, maybe, but here's why it caught my attention. Bitcoin is usually the leader. Think of Bitcoin like the captain of the team. The rest of the market usually follows Bitcoin. So when I see altcoins running harder than Bitcoin, I get to asking questions like, why? Because markets are always telling us a story if we willing to listen or pay attention. I think the story this weekend was about confidence. When investors get nervous, they usually move their money toward what they believe is the safest asset in crypto, and that's Bitcoin. But when they start feeling more comfortable, they begin taking on more risk. That's when money starts moving into altcoins. Now, one weekend doesn't prove that's what's happening, but it is a clue. And if there's one thing I've learned about markets, the clues usually show up before the headlines. Now, Michael Saylor just did exactly what he told everybody he was going to do. Now, if you've been watching me or you remember what I said, this shouldn't be a surprise to you. A few days ago, I told y'all Strategy was changing the way it manages its Bitcoin. For years, the message was simple. Buy Bitcoin, hold Bitcoin, never sell Bitcoin. That was their mindset. But I told y'all the company had introduced a new strategy that would allow it to monetize some of its Bitcoin when it made financial sense. Well, they already acted on it. Strategy sold 3,588 Bitcoin for approximately 216 million. Now, social media is probably going to split into two groups. One group is going to say Michael Saylor's losing faith in Bitcoin. The other group is going to act like nothing happened. I don't think either one is looking at the full picture. Here's how I see it. If you own 10 rental properties and you sell one to strengthen your balance sheet, pay obligations, or free up cash for another opportunity, that doesn't mean you stop believing in real estate. It means you're managing your assets. As simple as that. That's exactly what Strategy is doing. They're still one of the largest Bitcoin holders in the entire world. See, this wasn't panic selling. This was treasury management, as they call it. And I think that's an important lesson because sometimes social media turns investing into religion. Real investing isn't religion. Real investing is making good financial decisions with the information you have today. Here's the biggest lesson I took away from this weekend. Stop watching only the price. Start watching where the money is going. Think about everything we just talked about. Bitcoin showed strength. Money started flowing back into spot Bitcoin ETFs. Altcoins started outperforming Bitcoin. And one of the biggest corporate Bitcoin holders in the world used that strength to sell a portion of his holdings as part of his new financial strategy. Those aren't random headlines. They're all telling us something about confidence. Now, I'm not sitting here telling you the bull market is back. Of course, I'm not saying that. I'm not telling you Bitcoin can't go lower. I'm not telling you altcoin season has officially started. What I'm telling you is this. The market is giving us new information, and good investors don't ignore new information. They pay attention. So here's what I'm going to be watching this week. Do money flows into Bitcoin ETFs continue? And do altcoins keep outperforming Bitcoin? Does Bitcoin hold these gains now that the holiday weekend is over and normal trading volume returns? Because if those things continue happening, then this weekend may have been the beginning of a shift in investor confidence. If they don't, then it was probably just a short-term bounce. Either way, we don't have to guess. We just have to keep following the money because the price tells you where the market has been. The money gives you the clues about where the market may be going. And over time, learning to follow the money instead of following the crowd can completely change the way you invest. That's what I'll be watching this week. I'll see y'all in the next one.